What's happening, everybody? Welcome back to the channel. We have our final thoughts today of yesterday's game. Proper disaster of a game yesterday at Loftus Road. QPR falling to 2-0 to Sheffield United at home after a disappointing week, to be honest. Not great whatsoever. I believe, what's that, three losses in a row, I believe that is. No, tell a lie. I'm thinking of Blackburn and Hull. So yeah, we're not in form, great form at the moment. But yeah, let's have a look at what the comments are saying at the moment. So hello mate, how are you? Ryan says, mate, I'm gonna be honest. I was looking at a lot of stuff yesterday on social media of QPR, and do you know what? It's gonna get a lot worse now, I reckon. If it continues. So yeah, Scotty says, time to call it for the season. Don't rush the injured back and start fresh next season. Great comment on that, to be honest. Like I said, I think every time we get to a predicament of the year where we get injuries, certainly between December and March, you know, it doesn't look great. So yeah, original viewing says, we can't keep losing. It's not a good end of this month. Listen, look, this is a predicted question that is kind of like, you know, you can't really control it, you know. At the end of the day, we have to have, as fans, you either have faith in the manager or you don't, you know. And my opinion is this, you know, I like the manager. I think the manager's great. He's proven that he can win games. He's proven, you know, there's certain mentality that he can do into the team, but obviously there's that negative side where the results ain't working. You know, I have my own opinion on it. Everyone has their own opinion on it. Honestly, I'm Julian in all the way. You know, at the end of the day, I'm a realist. I don't expect QPR to be going up this season. Never did. Would have been great to see, but I would have expected a lot better results this season. I'm more disappointed in the sense of home form than anything. So yeah. QPR says, let's be fair, here we didn't lose because of injuries. We lost because our team aren't showing any passion whatsoever. There's no heart in our performance. They can't be asked. I think faith, or whatever you want to call it, has gone out the door. I would say that faith has definitely gone out the door for sure. There's no belief in anything, you know. You look at the players on the pitch, and you can see there's something wrong. You know, there is definitely something going on, because at the end of the day, we're not playing as well as we did at the start of the season. You know, like, we could go with injuries, we could say that, but at the end of the day, the players that are on the pitch should still be showing heart and commitment. Like, for example, when we had those games like Ipswich, for example, not Ipswich, Preston, you know, there was times that we were great and there was times that we were poor, but we kept it going and we gave heart in that game, you know, and we took the draw. But there's other games as well that I could go on and say, but yeah, right now we're lacking so much stuff in that team, you know. So yeah. Robert, welcome to the chat. We need leaders. That is actually a great question. That is a great comment as well. You know, in my opinion, do we count Jimmy Dunn as a leader? You know, I feel like Jimmy Dunn, I've always liked Jimmy Dunn, even at Burnley, growing up at United, seeing him play as a youngster, but he's not really been a big gun at QPR. Even when he was brought in, I think it was Mark Warburton that brought him in. I'm not too sure, but he wasn't really used then. You know, he only started getting used a lot more when, I would say, Marty Fuentes was in charge. You know, Gareth Ainsworth kind of used him, but I think Marty Fuentes was a big fan of Jimmy Dunn when we shifted him to right back. I know he had injuries in him, and you know, right now we haven't seen him injured. We've been seeing him quite doing well, but out of all the team, you know, the only thing that I can say with leaders, you know, Ronnie has potential to be a leader. You know, Paul Smith is a leader at the end of the day with what he does on the pitch and what he does with the team and the squad and how he speaks. I think Varane, I think Varane was meant to be a leader, but I think he's just, yeah, everything's just been changed. Everything has changed. It has in this team. You know, I can understand where you guys are coming from when you say there's no passion, there's lack, and all of this and all of that. You know, so I get it. I do see it as well. You know, but there must be a reason for it. Whether it's a manager, whether it's they've just had enough, whether it's the injuries are just like showing them, well, let's just give up, you know, kind of mentality, you know. Scott says, heart and commitment don't make cutting passes. We need creativity. Yeah, creativity. This is the thing what I've been saying all since Chair has gone missing. You know, we lack creativity. You know, we haven't really had anyone in the middle or on the attack. You know, I'll get into it a bit more in a second. I will. What was Ryan saying? It was definitely the players are only passionate as the one coaching them. Ainsworth was shit, but at least he had loads of passion for QPR and got the players pumped for the game. I'm going to be honest with you, right, with this one, right? The only reason why Gareth was so passionate is because obviously he loved QPR. You know, apart from that, I'm telling you right now, the players didn't really give a damn about him. I'm going to say that right now. He even admitted it. You know, the players didn't care. The players just took it as a joke, to be honest. So, yeah. I honestly believe Gareth Ainsworth is a great person, a great football player. But when it comes down to coaching and managing and stuff like that, he is best at League One, at material wise, you know. I think in the Championship, you know, he got Wickham up, he done well with Wickham, but he's too much of a nice guy. It's that simple. He's too much of a nice guy, Ainsworth was. Yeah. Zach says, fuming at our last 10 games, beating Coventry and Hull means nothing when we consider other results. I really am angry at QPR for not sacking the manager. I don't want him next season. Okay, big shout there, big call. Robert says, Jimmy Dunn is slow and easily caught out. Varane is so negative. I thought he was going to say something about Gary Neville or something like that there. Nick says, hi DB. Hi Nick, hopefully you're having a good day. Obviously, you know, disappointing result yesterday. But yeah, let's go on from there. Let's go into the next scene and start this match reaction with our final thoughts of yesterday. So yeah, QPR lost 2-0 at home to Sheffield United, as you know. Goals from O'Hare and Campbell. Now, pretty much the first, I would say, 35 minutes rise. I honestly believe Sheffield United were just controlling the ball and getting the better chances. There was times where we pushed a little bit, but it wasn't the best. You know, their first goal came from Callum O'Hare in the 30th minute, which was a bloody mistake yet again from QPR. You know, Esquidina letting his man come through to him, not watching just ball watching pretty much. And the cross came off of Jake Clark-Salter, it did. And when that Jake Clark-Salter ball just went, kind of a bit of a dodge ball lobbed over, O'Hare was in the right place at the right time at the back post. No one watching him whatsoever. Everyone was crowding the keeper, in my opinion. Everyone was crowding Joe Walsh. And yeah, Callum O'Hare scored that goal, making it 1-0 for Sheffield United. And then a silly mistake from Varane, who cleared the ball away, but it wasn't the best clearance, and it went straight to a Sheffield United player who passed it straight to Campbell, and Campbell saw the opportunity in swinging it into the back of the net. Now, should Joe Walsh have got it? Possibly, but it did take a big deflection off Ronnie Edwards. I wouldn't say big, actually. I would say a slight deflection off Ronnie Edwards, it did. And that made it, obviously, 2-0. Now, we didn't really have any opportunities, I'm going to be honest. The biggest momentum of the game was after 35 minutes when we went 2-0 down, just before half-time. Was there chances? Yeah. Coney had a few headers in the first half, but it was majority second half where it was still Sheffield United, and until like when we made our subs, which changed the game big time. It did. So obviously at half time we made subs with Paul Smith and Ryan Colley coming on for Daniel Benny and Escudina. Apparently changed the formation, but I'll be honest, I didn't see any change in formation. It still looked like 4-4-2. It just looked like Harvey Vale went back into left back from there. Gustavo Hamer, obviously, and Andre Brooks both came on for Tyrese Campbell and Chong in the 60th minutes. Then we made more subs with Isaac Hayden and Benge for Varane and Clark Salter. Now, there was a chance, a disallowed goal into the game where Kone did score a set piece from Harvey Vale's corner, but it was ruled off for a foul. Now, the Sheffield United commentary was basically it was offside, but I don't think it was. I think it was more majority that Paul Smith was invading the space of the keeper, where it was flagged as a foul. I think it was, personally. Now, do I think it was a foul? It's difficult to say. You know, I get it. He's obstructing the keeper, but I've seen many matches where we've seen the keeper getting in a bundle with players and a goal still counts from there. And this is why also I get pissed off with the referee and everything in the championship, because a goal like that got disallowed, but VAR could have probably said, yeah, that was a goal. I keep saying the refereeing and everything is so poor in the championship, and it needs something sorting out. But at the end of the day, there's no point in constantly repeating myself, because it's never going to happen. You know, the championship has a lot of views on it, a lot of views of corruption and shit like that, but I don't know what to say about that goal. Just very unlucky on the day, but it was a shit performance as well. You know, we saw Patrick Bamford come on. He had a couple of chances at goal. You know, Keely Adamson come on in the second half for Koki, but there was no change apart from in the last couple of, like, say, I would say 70 minutes and onwards that we tried to push it a little bit, but it was just too late, I think. You know, Sheffield United controlled the game really well. You know, you can see with 59% possession in this first half, they controlled the game really well. You know, the total shots and everything like that is absolutely diabolical. You know, how we still can't score a goal. Now, the team ratings obviously say everything that we need to see. So Walsh 5.3, Escudina 5.8, Clark Salter 6.7, Dunn 6.8, Edwards 5.9, Sato 5.8, Varane 5.6, Morgan with a 7.0, Vale with a 7.6, Kone 5.9, Benny 5.6, Paul Smith 6.3, Colley 6.0, 6.3 to Zach Hayden, and then Ben Gill 6.5. You know, it sums up the rating, sums it up, man. I think that should be a lot lower in some cases. Kieran Morgan, I don't understand how he got a 7.0. He wasn't very great. Harvey Vale 7.6, same again. I don't understand how he got 7.6 because he wasn't very great either. You know, the whole team was a bit of a letdown. You know, it has to be improved. Now, obviously going on from there, it comes down to questions for me is like I said, I constantly say it, the 4-4-2 is not great, it's not working. Why does he keep going to it? I have no idea realistically. You know, the 4-2-3-1 creativity helps there, but when you're not putting the right players in that formation, it's not going to work whatsoever. You know, we are missing key players for creativity, but at the end of the day, if something's not working, why still use it? I don't get it. You know, it's pointless in constantly repeating myself about it, because, listen, look, I think Kone's a great player. Do I think he's a great championship player yet? No, he's still got a lot to prove, for sure. You know, he killed it in League One. But at the end of the day, unless he's used properly, like he was at the start of the season, we're not going to see the same Kone. Same, for example, with Varane. Varane has not had the greatest of seasons. Last season, he probably had his best season with us. You know, Kieran Morgan, best season with us last season. Wasn't great. It hasn't been great this season, apart from 2 crazy goals he scored. You know, Edwards, a lot of panic is going on him now, because apparently he's not doing great. Same as Jimmy Dunn. Clark Salter had his first game, obviously, since returning again from injury. Escudina, very poor in performance yet again. Sato, just quiet as hell on that left wing, and he's been like that for geez, like God knows how many games, you know. And I'll say that very honestly, that Sato has not been brilliant for the since, I would say, last year, you know. So yeah, like performance wise, it's terrible. You know, I could sit and say Coventry was great, but even that was not the best of the performances. You know, Leicester City was the best game that we've had, which I could resemble to be in the last game. You know, every other game has kind of been a shambles, which with performance wise has not been great. You know, I feel like every other game is kind of summed up by like Hull City's game performance. You know, where we counter-attacked football and scored goals from there. It's absolutely ridiculous. You know, something needs to change, and Julian needs to do it fast, because injuries, if any more injuries happen, I think that's going to be it for us. You know, where do I think we're going to end up in the season? Hopefully still between 10th, 9th, 8th, whatever it is, but I would say this, 6th and 5th, 4th, 3rd, whatever you want to call it, that's out the door now. That's completely out the door. We're not showing any belief, like what the chat's been saying, and it needs to be worked on, and you know, I would like to understand why we're quiet about it. You know, the club have not said anything about any injuries, anything that's happened to the new player, you know, and we're all hearing rumours through social media about it. You know, it's ridiculous. There's going to be, and with what Robert's just said now, there's going to be a lot of players that are going to be out that door in the summer, for sure. You know, Julian needs to kind of bring in players that suit his style, if he is staying, and that is it. You know, I don't know what's going to happen. But yeah, let's have a look at what the rest of the comments say. Where did we end up? It has definitely, the players are only as passionate as the one coaching them. Ainsworth was shit, but at least he had loads of passion. QPR got the players. I think I read that one. Fuming out our last 10 games being, I think I read that one as well. Yeah, he was quite comedic, but remember, the Burnley and Stoke games that we needed to win to stay up, he kicked the players up the arse and got the points. I'll be honest, I think that was all to do with fucking Albert Adoma being love for the club, you know, helping us. Yeah, Zach in the loft, we cannot accept the way we have lost games. We could have drawn and games we could have nicked a point and bottled it, versus the times we have gained a lot of positive results is very poor. The manager sucks, Zach says. Ryan, I wholeheartedly agree, bro. Robert says, forget previous managers and players. The team and management are lackluster. When the subs came on, there was surge in attacks. Nick says, is there a sense of too much of the restriction as the way players are being told to play, as I get the impression of JS told is what we have to do. QPR says, cheers, Zach. W12 says, hi, DB. Well, hi, Russell. Thank you for tuning in. We've got a lot of people in today with the match reaction. Zach in Loft says, let's not even talk about Joe Walsh, please. He is the biggest failure of a goalkeeper. Why get Hamer in to sit on the bench? Robert says, why didn't he start the game to get started on positivity? Zach says, very true of it. QPR, and obviously they wouldn't be playing if we didn't have injuries, but we will get nowhere with Benny, Walsh and Escudina. Zakilov says, Christian Nuri basically sucking up, fucking hell, jeez. Matter how shit our performance, the fact we have a few players out for a long period of time and no other players have stepped up or up their performance. Again, Ryan Facts. Nick says, I know the season is finished now, but we would like to see a core of the injured players back to see where we are at the next season with additions. Much love, bro, Cuban Ryan says. I had a lot of optimism after the 7-1 battering, beating Charlton and Wrexham, then a few wins, Birmingham, West Brom, then December we crumbled after beating the Mighty Foxes 4-1. It literally has been shit. Curan says, been rubbish ever since Leicester City. I think once we are clear points of relegation, mathematically, I would like to see JS change system and start experimenting now. Where was we experimenting? Where the fuck was I? Our season is ruined, and I think that that match confirms it, Pele says. Zakharov, you know, when I looked back at the sum results, we lost a point or lost the game. Our table could look so different, so upsetting when the fans think our boss is okay for the job after these efforts. So Ryan and Kone, Robert says, keep it Ryan. First thing Julian needs to do is bin off the 4-4-2. Hasn't worked at all. Peter, sorry, I keep saying Pele because of fucking small words. This club is in shambles. Robert says, we will be lucky to avoid relegation. Zach says, you guys are completely correct today. These comments are likely reading my own thoughts. If we stay up this season, next season is looking very bright, Pete says. Very interesting, very interesting. Listen, like I said, you're more than willing to have your opinions and stuff like that in this chat. I have no problem. But when I say like my stuff, it's my opinion. Do I expect it to be respected? That's totally up to you guys. But you know, for when I see games, for what I've seen, everyone has a different type of understanding of what they want to see and go from there. You know. At the start of the season, when Julian came in, I wasn't very confident. You know, bringing a manager from abroad that obviously has a good reputation in certain things, but when you look at his credentials in the sense of win, loss, draw games, he had the same kind of resemblance as Marty Fuentes, you know, when it came down to result-wise. You know, two managers did great in European clubs, but the one manager has proven that he's not championship material, and the other is kind of impressed a little bit, but obviously with results going the way it is right now, it's not looking great for that one. But the only way you can determine and judge a manager is obviously, or a head coach, is basically depending on what you see obviously on the pitch. You know, he's instructing the players how to do things and what to do. Yes, okay, cool, there's injuries. Yes, so cool, certain players might not suit the ability of what the head coach is trying to teach. But at the end of the day, you know, the players that we have are still, you know, some are championship player material. Some are need to go out on loan for sure because of experience-wise. But at the end of the day, you can see the difference, resemblance of players from last season to this season, where some players were amazing last season and this season they're terrible. So yeah, I would honestly say when I watched the first when I did the pre-seasons, obviously the pre-season games on here, you know, there was obviously, I can't really speak on the I think it was the Stevenage game or Swindon, or I think it was Stevenage. You know, that was a great result. I saw some great players playing on that friendly match. I did not judge it in the sense of how it was going to be this season, because obviously it was just a friendly, but it was great to see certain players that were on the pitch. For example, Taylor Richards, you know, Emerson Sutton, and some other youngsters in there as well. Akidinelli was one of my favourite players in the summer, and we sent him out on loan. I thought he was doing great in defence. He looked like a real player that was a threat on the attack as well as a centre-back. He looked very exciting. But when it came down to when we went and played in, was it Portugal, I think it was, against obviously certain teams, then that's when I kind of was like, all right, cool. We might be in real shit here, you know. We looked good at times. There were certain players that looked really brilliant. But when you play clubs and friendlies like that, you kind of get kind of a resemblance of what the hell is going to happen type of thing. So, yeah. So, yeah. All right. Hang on. Let me just see this quickly. Stevie Boy says 13 watching ROFL and what the fuck? 13 watching ROFL. And the still yet shit teams get better for losing than us for winning a league. Can't wait till it all ends. Well, for starters, maybe spelling would be better. So I can read it properly. Fucking hell, jeez. You're correct today. These comments. If you stay up this season, next season, at the end of the day, we are supporting Mighty QPR. We don't all agree on things, which is okay. Love you guys here, man. Cheers, Ryan. You're always here. Much respect. Most of our fans will know who serves the best game and who should be binned off. Most of us are aligned. It's just a shame the club doesn't listen. Who plays Benny, Espin, and Isaac? Like, who are those? We are QPR, fuck the rest. We're the best. Miss signing for again for real. Fucking hell, jeez. Yeah, like I said, where was I? yeah, in my opinion, I'll stick with this, right? I'll just do this, right? Listen, I have full belief in Julian. I really do. I think at the start of the season, he kicked it off really well. We in an attacking way. You know, I know a lot of people are gonna say there was nothing really. There's nothing really proven after obviously last season, but there has been proven bits in attacking wise. You know, he's shown defensive wise at the start of January, but yeah, it's just a shambles at the moment, and I do so hope that, you know, something is changed quickly, something on the pitch, and the players understand they've got a rest now, a week rest. We play Sunday against another difficult opposition in Middlesbrough. Do I think we'll win? Have a laugh. It's Middlesbrough, for crying out loud. Listen, look, Middlesbrough, one of my favourite clubs this season. When that new manager, when I saw some of them games, honestly, they look really incredible. He's what it's like, kind of attract interest in passing the ball, really, like some very sexy football. I'll just say it like that. Some very sexy football. People know how I feel about this Middlesbrough and this manager, because I was up his arse, honestly. I'll be honest, I was up his arse at that game. I'm not gonna lie. You know, that manager showed QPR what the fuck football was, and it was that simple. You know, we did score a penalty, but at the end of the day, it was an incredible performance from Middlesbrough to see. You know, and it's very rare we see that in Championship. You know, he's brought some incredible football to Borough, and we'll see what happens. Everyone going in, that Stevie boy. Listen, look, at the end of the day, look, we're all QPR fans, you know. I've seen much worse at QPR. So yeah. Am I used to this stuff? Of course, 100% I'm used to it. I think majority of you are used to it. Do a Chelsea shit with Arsenal watch along now. No, I'm watching it right now. It's actually on Eze. The camera's on Eze at the moment. But yeah. But, right, listen, look, we got to stay positive at the end of the day. You know, there's no luck in literally just chucking insults at, you know, sack Julian, sack this, or even telling shit about how shit the channel is or whatever. At the end of the day, you can talk shit whatever you want. I'm not bothered. But I'm entitled to my opinion, and that's that simple. I respect everyone else's opinion on what they think of QPR, because you're allowed to. But if you think I'm just talking bollocks, then that's your problem at the end of the day. So, yeah. If the manager starts the likes of Smithy and Bengay, Cook, Edwards, Dunn, Act, we will be fine. If we start Espina, we will be relegated. At least every club goes through the stage. In my opinion, listen, look, I'm going to end it off this. We're not going to get relegated. I 100% know that. I'll put money on that for sure. Our injury is going to come back. Poku, I would say leave him the fuck out for the rest of the season. Madsen, he's probably out for the rest of the season. Burrell, it's hard to say. This new player, I would like some information. Listen, look, the information that people say, I'd rather hear it from the club than social media in that sense. So please, Nuri, please just announce something that can help supporters understand what's going on at the club at the moment, because I don't want to get to the end of the season like last season where we're hearing you've had a fucking row with Marty Fuentes about something and you've fallen out with him, you know, and it took 10 weeks or more actually to fucking actually get a response from QPR, like before we even started pre-season, for a manager to come in and go from there. So yeah. Zach says, DB, that is so real though, mate. They have been on fire. Even when Carrick left, they were on fire and kept it going. Julian has to take a long look in the mirror and take responsibility. The only thing I will agree with the people who want to keep Julian is who will be bringing in as replacement. Yeah, DB, watch the Arsenal v Chelsea now. Jokers, oh my god. Listen, look, alright, well, we're going to be ending it there anyway. So, yeah, QPR took a very shit loss to Sheffield United at home. One thing as I'll say is this, I'm not expecting anything big against Middlesbrough, but all I'm expecting is a better performance from the players. I really do want to see a better player count on the pitch, actually making an effort on attack or defend or whatever, and not just giving up. The 4-4-2 needs to go 100%, and we need some understanding of creativity in there. So yeah, But we're going to leave it there. We've been bragging about half an hour now on this final thoughts. But I really hope to see the good times come again. I have sound like thingy out of the 5-year plan now. I don't know why I just said that. But yeah, let's stay positive for the end of the season. But I will say this: I don't think QPR will get relegated. I honestly believe QPR will survive. I honestly believe QPR will still finish in the top 12 now, I'm going to say. And I do see Julian Stefan staying next season. And hopefully we get something better going for us next season. Injury-wise, like I said, I can't really say much on that. But yeah, apart from that, we will be live Friday, possibly, maybe sometime this week, doing something different. Also something to do with the preview show for Middlesbrough. So stay tuned for that. And apart from that, have a lovely weekend, have a lovely day, and don't work too hard starting from tomorrow. And we'll catch you obviously sometime this week, and yeah, we'll go from there. But stay positive, guys, don't panic, have a lovely day, enjoy the rest of your weekend. Peace, love, positivity as always, and we'll catch you next time. Cheers, boys. Thank you everyone for tuning in chat. Don't forget to smash the like button as well.